Redhead Robbie's Christmas Story by Bill.
Wait, what was it again? Welcome to our Reader Theater Christmas presentation.
Redheaded Robbie's Christmas Story by Bill Watchell.
I am Monkey Max.
I am narrator 1 and Miss Wallace.
I'm narrator 2, 2, and 3. I'm Redhead Robbie.
I Blue Cake and narrator 4. I'm narrator 5 and Big Eddie.
Early Monday morning, Miss Wallace stood in front of her desk, second grade class, and reached into the hat that was sitting on her desk. She pulled out a piece of paper and held it high. She said,
In my hand is the name of a lucky second grader. This child will get to make up a Christmas story and tell it to the Christmas assembly this Friday. Choose me.
"Hello, Big Eddie, the boy whose dad owns the toy store?"
Choose B. Remember Munching Max, the skinny kid who was always eating? Replied Redhead Robbie.
The story told Robbie that Bill his face turned red, and he rubbed his head to his chest. He had done it again. Robbie meant to say, "Don't choose me," but instead, "Waluigi" came out.
Redhead Robbie spoke perfectly fine when he's talking to his parents or friends. But whenever Robbie felt nervous or excited or upset, the first words that jumped out of his lips usually made no sense. Robbie's grumble words were funny, but his classmates never laughed. They liked Robbie. He shared his lunch tray. He didn't hug the swing. In fact, when Robbie Both the kids usually covered up for him. Big Eddie said, "Red-headed Ronnie didn't mean that, Miss Watson. He's just nervous."
Miss Wallace read from the slips of paper.
"The winner is Robbie." "Oh no,"
said Big Eddie.
"it can't be so," said Goofy. "Bad show," said Munching Matt. "Upper crowd," said Red-headed Robbie.
That night, Robbie felt sick to his stomach. Could he make up a story to tell it to the Christmas assembly without saying something silly? Robbie wrote a fairy tale about a snowflake and landed on a fruitcake and thought it was a reason, but the story was lame and Robbie knew it.
The next day after school, Robbie visited Big Eddie's at his father's toy store. Robbie found him spinning around in his father's desk chair. "How's the story going, Red-headed Robbie?" "I need help," said Robbie. Eddie said, "Make up a story about a boy who goes so gets so many presents it takes him 2 days to open them all." "But Christmas isn't about getting presents. It's a time to give gifts to people who have less than us." Eddie stopped sitting in the chair. "I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry, I didn't help with your story." The next day, after school, Robbie visited Cool Katie at her house. He found her at her desk, talking on the phone. "How's it going, Red-headed Robbie?" "I need help." "Think of a story about a cool girl who does a cool Christmas party." "But Christmas isn't a time for being cool. It's a time for being nice to someone new, maybe someone who is shy."
Cool Kate put down the phone.
"I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry I didn't help."
The next day after school, Robbie visited Munching Matt. He found Mac in his bedroom staring at a box of broken candy canes.
"How's the story going, Red-headed Robbie?" "I need help. Make up a story about a kid who is mad at his little sister for breaking his candy cane. He hides her Christmas presents as payback." "But Christmas isn't a time for paybacks. It's a time to forgive."
Oh, Max put down the broken candy cane.
"I never thought about Christmas that way. Sorry I didn't help." The next morning, the students and parents gathered in the auditorium for a Christmas assembly. The fifth grade performed a Christmas play they had written only a few times. Did their wings fall off their heads? A fourth grader played a Christmas song he had composed on the guitar. Only a few times did he drop his guitar.
The third grade dance, a Christmas dance. She had autographed only a few times did she tumble to the floor. When it was time come for the second grade performance, Miss Wallace said,
Robbie will now tell us his Christmas story. Robbie stood before the assembly. In his hand was a story he had written about the snowflake and thought it was amazing. His stomach felt like it was filled with hot candle wax. Robbie took a deep breath and started to tell his
Robbie Wazen, he said. Robbie's face was flushed and red. A couple of first graders giggled. Robbie tried again to talk.
shutting up in a blanket, he said. A couple of fifth graders whispered to each other. Again, Robbie tried to speak.
Think from Glop and Globe.
He said. A couple of fourth graders pointed at Robbie.
His story was a disaster. Robbie felt like he was ready to burst into tears, and he put his hands over his eyes. Suddenly, Big Eddie left his seat and walked to the stage. He stood next to Robbie and put his arm over him. Red-headed Robbie knows a Christmas story. It's about a boy who thought that Christmas meant one thing, giving presents. Then a little angel with red hair visits that boy. The angel told him that Christmas is a time for giving to people who don't have much. After the angel left, the boy asked his, his parents to give some of his presents to the kids at the homeless shelter that redheaded Robbie's Christmas story.
Cool Katie left her seat. She stood next to Robbie and held his hand.
Redheaded Robbie knows a Christmas story about a girl who thought all about being cool. Then a little angel with red hair visited that girl. The angel told her that Christmas is a time for being nice, maybe somebody who was shy. After the angel left, the girl visited a shy girl and played with her. That's Redheaded Robbie's Christmas story.
Munching Max got up from his seat and stood next to Robbie and slid a bag of peanuts into Robbie's pocket.
Redheaded Robbie knows a Christmas story. It's about a kid who wanted to hide his little sister's Christmas presents as paybacks for breaking his candy cane. Then a little angel with red hair visited the kid. The angel told him that Christmas is a time to forgive, not to pay back. After the angel left, that kid forgave his little sister and took her sledding. That's Redheaded Robbie's Christmas story.
The circle stood and clapped. They didn't stop until Miss Wallace stood next to Red Robbie and next asked for whispered, let's hear it said.
Thank you, Robbie, for your wonderful Christmas stories. Let each person here follow Robbie's advice. Give before you take. Show kindness to someone new. Forgive a person who has hurt you. This was looked at Robbie. Did I forget to say anything?
Merry Christmas to all. Where's my dad? Please stay tuned as we pause for the setup. Welcome back to our presentation. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas by Dr. Seuss.
And you down in Whoville liked Christmas a lot. But the Grinch who lived just north of the Whoville did not. The Grinch hated Christmas the whole Christmas season. Now please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason. It could be his head wasn't screwed on just right. It could be perhaps that his shoes were too tight.
But I think the most likely reason of all may have been that his heart was 2 sizes too small.
But whatever the reason, his heart or his shoes, he stood there on Christmas Eve, hating the Who, staring down from his cave with a sour, grinchy frown at the warm, lighted buildings below their town. For he knew every Who down in Whoville beneath was busy now, painting a mistletoe wreath. And they're hanging their stockings.
He snarled with his sneer.
Tomorrow's Christmas. It's practically here. Then he growled with his Grinch fingers, nervously drumming. I must find some way to stop Christmas from coming. For tomorrow, he knew,
All the Who's girls and boys would wake bright and early. They'd rush to their toys and then.
oh, the noise. Oh, the noise. That's one thing he hated.
Noise.
Noise. Then the Who's young and old would sit down to a feast.
And they feast.
And they feast.
Which was something the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
Feast. They would feast on Who pudding and wear Who roast beef.
Which was something that the Grinch couldn't stand in the least.
And then they do something he liked Least of all, every Who down in Whoville, the tall and small, would stand close together with Christmas bells ringing. They'd stand hand in hand. And the Who's would all start singing. They'd sing.
And they'd sing.
And they'd sing. Sing, sing, sing.
And the more the Grinch thought of Who Christmas sang, the more the Grinch thought,
I must stop this offense. Why, for 52 years I've put up with it. Now I must stop Christmas from coming. But how? Then he got an idea. An awful idea.
The Grinch had a wonderful, awful idea.
I know just what I'll do.
and he chuckled and clucked.
And he made a quick Santa Claus hat and coat.
And he chuckled and clucked.
What a great Grinchy trick! With this coat and this hat, I'll look just like Saint Nick. All I need is a reindeer. The Grinch looked around, but since reindeer as scarce, there was none to be found.
But did that stop old Grinch?
No!
The Grinch simply said,
If I can find a reindeer, I'll have to make one instead. So he called his dog Max. Then he took some red thread and he tied a big one on top of his head. Then he loaded some bags and some old empty sacks
on the ramshackle sleigh.
and he hitched up old Max.
Then the Grinch said,
Get Max! And the sleigh started down toward the homes where the Who's lay a snooze in their town. All their windows were dark by a snow-filled air. All the Who's were all dreaming sweet dreams without care.
when he came to the first little house on the square,
This is stop number 1.
the old Grinchy Claus hissed.
And he climbed to the roof, empty bags, and in the hiss. When he slid down the chimney, a rather tight pinch, but if Santa could do it, then so could the Grinch.
He got stuck only once for a moment or two.
Then he stuck his head out of the fireplace, flew where the little Who stockings all hung in a row. These stockings,
He grinned.
are the first things to go. Then he slithered and slunk with a smile most unpleasant around the whole room, and he took every present. Pop guns and bicycles, roller skates, drums, checkerboard, tricycles. He took
Popcorn.
and plums, and he stuffed them in bags. Then the Grinch very nimbly stuffed all the bags one by one up the chimney. Then he slunk to the icebox.
He took the Who's feast.
He took the Who's pudding. He took the roast beef. He cleaned out the icebox as quick as a flash. Why that Grinch even took the last can of Who hash.
Then he stuffed all the food up the chimney with glee.
And now
Grinned the Grinch.
I will stuff up the tree. And the Grinch grabbed the tree and he started to show. Then he heard a small sound like the coo of a dove. He turned around fast and then he saw a small Who. Little silly
Who was not more than 2.
The Grinch had been caught by his tiny Who daughter, who got out of bed for a cup of cold water.
She stared at the Grinch and said,
Santa Claus, why? Why are you taking our Christmas tree? Why? But you know that old Grinch was so smart and so slick he thought up a lie. He got it up quick.
Why, my sweet little tot, the fake Santa Claus lied. There's a light on this tree that won't light on one side. So I'm taking it back to my workshop, my dear. I'll fix it up there and I'll bring it back here. And his fib fooled the child.
Then he patted her head and he got her a drink and he sent her to bed. And when Cindy Lou Who went to bed with her cup, he went to the chimney and stuffed the tree up. Then the last thing he took was the log from the fire. Then he went up the chimney and stuffed the old liar.
On their walls he left nothing but hooks and some yarn.
In the one speck of food that he left in the house was a crumb that was even too small for a mouse. Much too small for the other to his mouth. It was 1:15.
All the Who's still abed.
All the Who's still a snooze. When he packed up the sled, packed it up with their presents, the ribbons, the wrappings, the tags, and the tinsel, the trimmings, the trappings.
3,000 feet up.
Up the side of Mount Comfort, he rode with his load to the tip top to dump it.
Pooh-pooh to the Who's! He was grinchily humping.
They're finding out now that there's no Christmas, that no Christmas is coming. They're just waking up. I know just what they'll do. Their mouths will hang open for a minute or two when the Who's down in Whoville will all cry, boo-hoo! That's a noise, grinned the Grinch. I simply must hear. So he paused, and the Grinch put his hand to his ear, and he did hear a sound rising over the snow. It started low,
But then it started to grow.
but the sound wasn't sad. Why, the sound sounded merry. It couldn't be so, but it was merry. Very.
There he started down at Whoville.
The Grinch popped his eyes. Then he shook. What he saw was a shocking surprise. Every Who down in Whoville, the tall and the small, was
Without any presents at all.
He hadn't stopped Christmas from coming. It came. Somehow or another, it came just the same. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet cold, ice cold in the snow.
So puzzling and puzzling.
How could this be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages or boxes or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his underwear was sore.
Then the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before.
Maybe Christmas,
He thought,
doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, means a little bit more. And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say that the Grinch's small heart grew 3 sizes that day. And the minute his heart didn't feel quite so tight, he whistled through the bright morning light. And he brought back Twas.
in the Who's feast.
And he himself, the Grinch carved the roast beef.
Scripted by Chase Young. Please stay tuned as we pause for setup. Welcome back to our presentation.
The Goofy Reindeer, created by Liza Trace.
You've heard of Dasher and Dancer.
And you know the most famous reindeer of all. But do you recall the Goofy Reindeer?
Wait a second. Do you mean Bob?
Bob? Who names a reindeer Bob?
Ho ho ho!
Why I named Bob Bob?
It's Santa. Woohoo! This story isn't about Santa.
But Santa's in the story.
Well, yes, but the story is about Bob, the Goofy Reindeer.
So tell us the story already. Well, you see, Bob could never do anything right.
He skidded a blizzard into Santa's toy shop.
And spilled hot cocoa on Mrs. Claus' best dress. But could he fly?
Of course he could fly.
Like a rocket ship? Like a rocket ship. Bob could fly so fast that you could see stars shooting from his hooves.
Bob could fly so fast that he made a sonic boom during takeoff.
Bob could fly so fast that he disappeared into space for 3 days at a time.
Yes, Bob could fly fast.
That's awesome.
Well, you might think that.
Until it was time for Bob to land. It took an entire year to repair Mrs. Claus's living room after the last time Bob flew.
Let's not even mention what happened to Snow Mountain, or what's left of Snow Mountain.
You see, trouble didn't follow Bob.
Bob followed trouble.
Everywhere Bob went, trouble was sure to go.
But Bob wasn't a complete golf up.
Ho ho ho! No sirree. I'll never forget how Bob saved Christmas back in '47.
Bob saved
Christmas. He sure did. It was the biggest blizzard ever. You see, the biggest blizzard since the time Rudolph hit the North Pole.
Of course, on Christmas Eve.
Just as Santa was packing his sleigh and getting ready for a takeoff. An enormous northern wind blew through and nearly blew down Santa's workshop.
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
The elves were chasing gifts that flew out of the sleigh. The reindeer was so bogged down in the snow that they couldn't get off the ground.
Mrs. Claus started to cry, Christmas is ruined, Christmas is ruined.
But Santa had it. Ho, 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 I said. Bob, with your flight discharge so strong, do you think you can blast my sleigh into the atmosphere?
Oh, no. Oh, yes.
So Bob climbed onto Santa's sleigh and went deep down snow. And Santa climbed into his sleigh.
Then Santa said,
Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen, to the top of the sky, to the top of the stars, now blast away, Bob. 1, 2, 3, blast off!
why Bob performed his biggest blast off ever.
Off and off and off he went. With Santa in his sleigh and his 8 tiny reindeer,
Then he disappeared.
right off the head elf's radar. All is lost, cried Mrs. Claus. But wait. What now?
Suddenly, in the million past midnight,
Time stops on Christmas Eve, Head elf detected a wonderful,
beautiful.
most delightful sight. What? Presents shooting down from the sky and into chimneys.
A rock horse for Tommy.
A dollar for Susie. Hey, this isn't the 21st century. An iPad for Donovan.
A cell phone for Courtney.
And a Diamondback with Venom VMX bike for Sean. But what about Santa? And what about Bob?
Well, that was the strangest thing.
Santa landed in his comfy chair, completely with slippers and a pack up the break of dawn. Mrs. Claus cried, "It's a miracle!"
And Santa's sleigh landed in the garage on wheels for the wall.
The head of cried, "It's a miracle!"
But
What about Bob? Ho, 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 we never heard of Bob from Bob again.
Oh
Oh,
Oh yes.
but if you look up in the sky at night, you see a shooting star. That's just Bob.
Acting like a goofball.
That's Bob for you. Ho, ho, ho. See, Bob is as happy as can be playing star hockey in the sky.
Every now and then you can see them,
But most especially on Christmas Eve.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Ho, ho, ho. Good night, Mom.
Please stay tuned as we pause for the setup. Welcome back to our presentation.
"'Twas the night before Christmas" by Clinic Club Moore. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas soon would be there.
The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while a vision of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in the kerchief and I in my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter nap.
Went out on the roof, there arose such clatter. Sprang on my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutter and threw up a sash.
The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the lustrous of midday to objects below, when what to my wonderings I should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer, with a little old driver so lively and quick. I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, of course they came. His courses they came, and he whistled and shouted, and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, now Comet, now on Cupid, on Downer, Downer and Blitzen, to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away. All.
As dry leaves that before a wild hurricane fly, when they beat with an obstacle, mountain and sky. So up to the housetop the horses they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too.
And then in a twinkle I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my head and I was turning around, down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed all in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack.
His eyes held a twinkle, his dimples how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard on his chin was as white as the snow. A stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly.
He was chubby and plump and right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk, and laying his finger aside of his nose, and giving a nod up the chimney he rose.
He sprang to his sled and to give to his team gave a whistle, and then away they all flew like down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim ere he drove out of sight.
Happy Christmas to all and all good night. Noah, please stay. Thank you for staying for our Readers Theater Christmas. Merry